These last 6 problems are a combination of 45, 60, and 45, 45, and 30, 60 triangles. And so we're just going to do them separately, but to get the answers that we need for each piece. So when we first go to solve these, the first thing we have to ascertain is which triangle has a side. I have to have at least one side. So this orange triangle is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. That means those are the ratios that I need to use. So since 9 is across from the 30 degree, that makes it the short side, B, the short length. Z is across from the hypotenuse. That makes it 2B. And this other side is the longest leg, which makes it B square root of 3. So since I already know that B is 9, I can just plug it in here and get 2 times 9, which is 18. So I know that Z is 18. And then when I plug it in here, I get 9 times the square root of 3. Now I'm going to need that in a second to solve the second triangle. So then we come down and we look and we have this second triangle that is a 45, 45 triangle. We're going to use A, and you can see now why I might use different letters because then it gets confusing. And this hypotenuse is A square root of 2. Except we just decided that it was 9 square root of 3. So now I have to make an equation. So I have 9 square root of 3 equals A square root of 2. So I'm going to divide by the square root of 2. And I have 9 square root of 3 over the square root of 2 equals A. And I need to go back to our calculator to simplify that. So I'm going to use the fraction button right here in the middle. So that's 9 square root of 3. And then in the bottom, the square root of 2. And then when I hit send, it gives me 9 square root of 6 over 2. So 9 square root of 6 over 2 is A. And that's what we put for our 2 congruent sides on our 45, 45, 90 triangle. 9 square root of 6 over 2 and 9 square root of 6 over 2. For number 21, the first triangle that we can solve is the 30-60 triangle because it has a dimension 12. So this is B, 2B, and B square root of 3. If 12 is 2B, then B is 6. So then X is 6. And this side becomes 6 square root of 3. Now I have the 45, 45 triangle to solve. These are my legs, so that means that this is A, and this is A, and this is A square root of 2. But I've already found a value for this other leg in my other triangle. So that means that I say that A equals 6 square root of 3. So that helps me to identify Y. 6 square root of 3. But then I have to substitute all of this right here so that I get 6 square root of 3 times the square root of 2. And that becomes 6 square root of 6. Again, you can use the calculator if you need to check that. For number 23, The first one that we have information about is the 45, 45 this time. So these are my two congruent sides, A, and this is A square root of 2. So when I divide by the square root of 2, I get that A is 15. So that helps me to identify Z. And it helps me to identify the other leg, which will be a leg on the other triangle, so this is also 15. So now we look at the 30, 60, 90 triangle. Y is the short leg at B, X is the hypotenuse to B, and the other leg is B square root of 3. Except that I know that this is 15. So now I have to write that equation. 15 equals B square root of 3. Those two things are the same. So then we divide by the square root of 3, and we use our calculator, and that becomes 5 square root of 3 is B. So then I can plug that in for Y, 5 square root of 3. And then when I plug it in for X times 2, 10 square root of 3. All can be done on the other calculator. For number 24, the first triangle that we can do is the 30-60 triangle because it has a side identified. Z is the small leg, so B. 18 is the long leg, so B square root of 3. And this is the hypotenuse at 2B. So I have to divide by the square root of 3 to solve for B, and I get B equals 6 square root of 3. So that's what B is. So that's what Z is, 6 square root of 3. And then this piece becomes 12 square root of 3 because we multiplied it times 2. Now we solve the 45-45 triangle, knowing that X and Y are A because they're the congruent legs, and this piece is A square root of 2. But I have a value for that leg from the other triangle. So that means that I have 12 square root of 3 equals A square root of 2. So we divide by the square root of 2. And using that wonderful calculator, we get 6 square root of 6 equals A, which then become the two congruent legs of our 45-45 triangle. 6 square root of 6 and 6 square root of 6. For number 22, the first triangle that we have information to solve for is the small 30-60 triangle, the smaller one. I can identify that this is B because it's the smallest leg opposite the 30. This is the hypotenuse at 2B. And this is B square root of 3. So since I've identified B, I can just plug that in to here. So this is 14 square root of 3. That's X. And when I plug it in for my long leg, it becomes 7 square root of 3 times the square root of 3. which is 21. So now I have a length for the other triangle. And so I can solve the other 30, 60 triangle. This is b, because it's the short leg. The long leg is b square root of 3, and the hypotenuse is 2b. So I've identified that b is 21. That means that y is 42, and z is 21 square root of 3. The last problem that we can solve gives us the 45, 45 first. So here is A and A, which means that this side is also 32, and then this is 2 square root A square root of 2, which gives us 32 square root of 2 for x. Then we solve the small 30, 60 triangle, where this is b, this is b square root of 3, and this is 2b. So now I know that 2b has to be equal to 32. 2b equals 32, b is 16. That means z is 16, and y is 16 square root of 3.